Okay, so let's chat about your hotel and where you are going to be staying when you decide to go to Walt Disney World. So obviously the first thing that you're probably doing when you decide to go to Disney is selecting your dates. Reminder that if you can avoid going on a school break time, especially if you are flying, I would highly encourage you to do so, or at least be a couple days before or after the break begins, just to help out with flight costs because they dramatically increase during breaks. Obviously, the crowds are a lot higher during breaks as well. So just keep that in mind. I'd be happy to go over potential date options with you. The other thing to think about when you are choosing your dates is just make sure that you glance at the day before and the day after your original thoughts on departure. In the evening, especially the day before you were planning to leave. So if you were going to leave Monday morning at 6 a.m., that's the flight you chose. Just double check what that Sunday night flight looks like. Maybe it's a late flight so you could still get a full work or school day in. But you might be able to save quite a bit of money, especially if you have a larger group of people, and then you could always lengthen your stay at your hotel or possibly even a cheaper resort option, just so you are saving that flight cost. It's called a split stay. It's super easy to do. I've done it before, where you can, with ease, simply have your stuff packed up in your room. Maybe you stay at a different resort for the first day of your trip to make use of that cheaper flight option in the evening. You stay the night there, you get up in the morning, you're ready to go to the parks, and you literally just have everything packed in your room, and someone comes and moves your luggage from the resort you stayed at that first night to whichever resort you will be staying the remainder of your trip. So if you are interested in that, or you think that your flight options might lead you that direction, let's talk about a split stay. It's totally free to do as far as the moving, and it's super, super easy. So the next thing that people think of before they decide where they're going to be staying is on property or off property. I will always encourage my clients to stay on property. I will always stay on property for the simple fact that it's way easier. There's no other way to put it that it is easy to stay on property at Disney. Why? Because there is a element of transportation to get you anywhere that you want to go on Disney property, and it's going to take you less than 20 minutes probably to get where you are going. So the reason mainly that people would want to stay off property is that they will save money potentially by staying off property. If you were using maybe points, your Marriott Rewards points that you get through work or something, yeah, that could be a great bonus or perk. If there's another opportunity to use it on another vacation, I would suggest using it there. Here's why. If you stay off property, you have to pay to park when you go to the parks, which is $20, and the traffic to get in and to get out of the parks, I have not done it myself because I stay on property, but when I've seen it from the drive in on the buses, it looks horrendous. There's no other way to put it. The wait to get into Magic Kingdom especially, and to get out after fireworks, it just looks like a nightmare. And especially if you're going with little kids and having to deal with, them being up past their bedtime and out of their routine, the thought of waiting in a line to get out of a location when they are way overdue to go to bed, and dealing with the traffic, you're not familiar with the location, you could be looking at maybe an hour to get out and to drive back to your resort. That doesn't sound worth the maybe 50, 60 bucks a day you might be saving. So you have to think about that. You won't have access to the buses to get into the park. You'll obviously have access from the bus system to go from park to park, but the buses are way easier. You will not have the Disney theming that your little kids might really enjoy around your resort. You will not get magic bands, which are $12 a piece if you buy them by yourself. You do not have to have magic bands at Disney World, but I definitely think it is a bonus of staying on property, and I would highly encourage, even if you are staying off property, to at least have one person in your party have a magic band to make purchases and photographs easier. And then lastly, if you have any issues with your Disney trip, say it's your fast pass is not working, maybe a dining reservation, if you have any issues like that, the front desk staff at all of the Walt Disney World resorts are always amazing. They're wonderful people, ready and willing to help you out. So that's really a nice bonus to have when you are at Disney. And then lastly, there's just this magical Disney touch. The people are really nice, the environment is really nice, and you just feel like you're at Disney. So if this is your one trip to Disney that you're taking in a long time, I would highly encourage you to get the full experience for Disney, which would definitely be staying on property. So if you have questions about staying off property, I'd happily answer them. You can absolutely have a magical and wonderful vacation if you are staying off property. I just think you get a little bit more, and the experience is a lot easier from the parents' perspective if you are staying on property. So that being said, when you are deciding to stay on property, well, there are multiple choices of where to stay. So let's look at them. Places to stay. So you can see I'm at the Disney World website. And you do not have to have an account to see this same information that I'm showing you. So you can absolutely log on. If you know you're going to be going to Disney for sure, feel free to make that account. So places to stay. There are 3 categories of hotels. This is about to move on me. You have value, which is your main, the lowest level, the base bottom line level. Oops. Let me go back. No, it's fine. Then you have your moderate, which is your middle, and you have your deluxe, which is your higher end. Okay. There are campgrounds if you have an RV or you want to camp out. And then deluxe villas are nice. Think 3 or so rooms that a big family or group could share. Okay, so let's look at the left side with the standard rate. I am a pass holder, so I receive a little bit further of a discount sometimes than other non-pass holders would receive, but sometimes they're about the same, honestly. So first, let me say that there will always be some sort of offer. Let's say 99% of the time, there will be some sort of offer that we can apply to your resort stay. Every quarter they have different offers that you can apply. There's, summer, fall, winter, spring bonuses or resort discounts that you can use. They can be on your room only. They can be an entire package deal. It kind of just depends. It's also an option that there are more than one category offer at the same time, and if that's the case, we'll make sure that we sit down and I will crunch the numbers for you and tell you which one you're going to be saving the most money on. Let me preface this that sometimes when there are 2, in the fall, there can be a promotion called free dining. We never know if it's going to return every year, but so far it does. Every year it just seems to change a little bit. So as far as that promotion, I can't guarantee that it will come back. And I also can't guarantee that it will be a better choice for your family. Every family that I have going this fall, the free dining, except for one family, is not a better deal. I do have one family that has more adults than kids, so it is a better deal for them. But 9 times out of 10, if you are a family element that has maybe just 2 adults, parents with your group, and the rest are kids, it's not going to be a better deal for you. So my job will be to go through and evaluate which one can save you the most money. The other thing with the offers is that when some of you book, you're going to be booking before a promotion is released for your dates. So we will be locking in a standard rate price for whichever room you are choosing, and then just know that we will be applying a discount if and when it comes up for your resort. There are a few resorts that do not allow discounts to come for a few specific style of rooms, and that's because people want to stay in those rooms and they don't care if there's a discount or not. They want that experience. So of course Disney's not going to discount it if people are going to be ready and willing to stay there without a discount. So I will apply a discount if and when it comes, and that's a great text message to be able to send to my clients. Hey, I just saved you $200, I just saved you $80, whatever it is, when I can save you money on your trip. Okay, so that being said, here is the difference between the 3 different levels of resort. So let's look at your value first. So the value is your first level of resort rooms at Walt Disney World. They are a base room. You're pretty much looking at a typical, Holiday Inn, in and out, you're staying there for the night. It's not going to have all the bells and whistles per se that some people might want if they were staying in a luxury resort hotel, because it is a value resort. This is very budget friendly. It's the most budget friendly you will get at Walt Disney World. So that's the main reason that people are obviously drawn to an all-star or a value resort. The theming is really fun at these resorts. So if you have little kids, you might really want to stay at one of these simply for the theme. If you have a Little Mermaid fan, okay, if your daughter is obsessed with Little Mermaid, well, then you want to stay here at Art of Animation to get a Little Mermaid room. If they are just a sports through and through, well, you'd want to stay at All Star Sports to get to experience that. So think about what your little ones are interested in, or you are interested in, and you can make your determination based on the theming that would be around you, especially if you're taking a day Not going to the park, no thanks. You might really want to lap in what that resort is offering. The pools here are very kid friendly. Everything is focused on Disney kid theming, okay? So a couple downsides to values that I want to make sure I bring up. Number one, it is full-size beds. They are not queen or king beds. It is a full-size bed. So keep that in mind with your party of who's going. I would definitely encourage, a parent to be sleeping with a child versus, maybe the two parents together if you want a little bit more room. So know that you're going to a full-size bed. The bus stops, for the big resort that it is, there's only one bus stop and it's right at the front of your resort. The reason that this is a negative that I want to bring up, potentially a negative, is that if you are going during a peak time of the morning at say 9 a.m. when everybody's trying to get up and out and go to the parks, you're going to be possibly waiting in quite a bit of a line in order to get on your bus. So you might have to wait there for, 30, 40 minutes maybe while you're waiting for buses to pass through because they're full and you're yet to get onto your bus. So just know that it's a possibility that you might have a harder time getting onto your bus. Don't let that discourage you from staying at an all-stars resort because there's always the opportunity you can take a cab. You can call an Uber. They do have minivans, M-I-N-N-I-E, pun intended, minivans that Justin and I take the kids in quite frequently because you're allowed to have 2 car seats in them. They have them in the back and they are actually run by Disney even though it's through Lyft. So it's Disney employees, which is really nice. So it's a $25 flat fee. But if you are going to be spending $25 every morning to avoid the long lines in the waiting for the bus, just think about that in terms of your resort cost and if that's much cheaper than maybe a resort that has lesser lines for your buses. If you are getting out to your bus stop before kind of the general take your time, go eat breakfast and get out to the bus stop. So if you're there before 8, you're not going to notice that it's a problem to wait in this line. I've done the value resorts. I've gotten up earlier than I maybe normally would have to go get to the park, and it was not a problem for me. I was able to get on the first bus, but just know that if you are going to be pushing, closer to that 9 o'clock mark, 8:45, that it is going to be something that you're going to notice. So that is the value resort. My favorite value resorts, as far as the top one that I would say would be Pop Century. Why? Because I think they're doing renovations. They have been renovating this along the way, and so it is the nicest as far as the look and the feel for the price that you are getting. So let's look at this standard rate. I would say a regular discounted room would be about maybe $125 minus, because this is not an offer that you would maybe see. So maybe 120 bucks a night. So I would say Pop Century is my favorite of the values, and then followed by All Star Music, which is nice because it's actually the cheapest one, but I like it the best. I've had good experiences here. I think their lobby is really nice, really cute, really fun. So I really enjoyed this one, and it is actually the cheapest on Disney. So my number 1 value would be Pop. My number 2 would be All Star Music. If you have a family that you need to sleep 6, 7 people in, then you're going to want to look at the Art of Animation Resort and look into a family suite room because they do have the opportunity to sleep multiple guests. Also, if you have a bigger family, definitely think about getting 2 rooms. If you have more kids than it would be allowed, if you are splitting between a big family, say it's 2 parents and 5 kids, whatever, we can request that you have joining rooms at these resorts. So that would be a way to save some money as well. So that's a value resort. On to the moderate. So moderate obviously is the middle. Okay, here's the difference, the next step up with your moderates. You now have queen size beds. The beds are a little bit more comfortable. I would say actually a lot more comfortable than the value. These are bigger resorts with the exception of Port Orleans French Quarter, and there are multiple bus stops with the exception of this one because it's smaller. There are multiple bus stops around the property. So picture a big circle pretty much. You have a circle of different buildings for the resort, and then around the outside of that circle there are multiple bus stops, 3, 4, 5 stops. So the reason that is nice is that you are going to probably be closer to a bus stop than you would had you been at a location that only had 1 bus stop, because you might have to walk across the entire resort to get there. Whereas here you might just be a building or 2 away from a bus stop, which is nice, especially at the end of a long day. The feeling here is a little bit less kid themed and more relaxing. And I say that because I am a fan of that when I get to the resort, because after a long day of being in Walt Disney's imagination at the parks, I'm kind of Disneyed out, and it's kind of nice to come back to reality and for the parent side of me to kind of relax and just veg a little bit. The grounds are really pretty. There's definitely a step up in service and a step up in the amenities. You're going to see that. The room's a little bit bigger, and I have found that I just enjoy being at a moderate a little bit differently. The multiple bus stops is honestly, it's huge when you get there, especially on the end of a long day. So the price difference isn't that much more if you have a deal or a discount. So let's jump all of these up maybe about $20 in price when we look at them for what you would maybe spend. My favorite of the moderates is Port Orleans Riverside. This is a sister resort to French Quarter. They're right next to each other, which you can walk to. It's 5 minutes. The reason that this is my favorite, the grounds are beautiful, really old school Louisiana, New Orleans kind of feel. The reason I like this one so much, right here, this is actually a little boat dock, and you can ride a boat this direction, then you'll pass this resort, you'll pass this guy on your way, and in 20 minutes you will wind up at Disney Springs, which is the downtown shopping and food area of Disney. So if you've been to Disney World before as a kid, you might remember Downtown Disney. That's what that is. It's just renamed. It's really fun. It's nice to go have a cocktail, go to the Disney store there, and just kind of get out of the park mentality and just kind of go shopping. There's some really high-end shopping and nice shopping that you might not have access to other places. So I like that one. That's my favorite of the moderates. My next favorite is Coronado Springs. Right now they are undergoing refurbishment. So is Caribbean Beach at the moment, which is why their prices are lower. So just know, depending on when you are going, these two might still be under refurbishment, and I will let you know that if that is the case at your time, and if it'll impact you at all. I have been to Coronado while the construction was going on, and I can tell you it did not impact me at all that there was construction. It made my room cheaper, and I was fine with that. Maybe one of my walking paths could have been a little bit shorter had there not been construction, but overall it didn't impact me at all. They make sure that they do their construction noises at times that you would be at the park anyway, so it's not going to impact your sleeping, especially if you have little kids. So Coronado, it is a convention resort, meaning that there are going to be people there that are not going to Disney, that are there for conventions. That didn't bother me at all. It didn't impact me. Maybe there were more adults there than kids, but that was fine by me. And like I said, it's a little bit less themey, but that's not something that I'm necessarily looking for when I go to a hotel. So one thing I didn't mention earlier, I want to make sure that I bring up the location in which your resort could be. Depending on when you are going to Walt Disney World and where you are trying to go as far as parks go, you might want to make sure that you have a resort that is closer to the main area that you're going to be going at. If you know you're going to Magic Kingdom 3 of your 4 days because you really like Magic Kingdom, you might want to think about staying closer to Magic Kingdom. If you're going to Animal Kingdom, same thing. All this means is that your bus ride is going to be a little bit shorter to go to that location than any other location. So especially if you're going just maybe to Epcot for Food and Wine Festival or something like that, you might want to stay a little bit closer there if you can. If not, it's an extra 5-10 minutes on the bus. You won't really notice it when you're there, but just to bring it up. Okay, so those are my 2 favorites for the moderate. So 1, Port Orleans Riverside, 2 is Coronado. Then lastly, we have our Deluxe. All right. Deluxe is exactly what it sounds. It's the higher end version of any of the hotel options at Walt Disney World. And it's just like a burger. You can get, your regular cheeseburger, which is going to taste great. It's going to fill your need. Or you can get the Deluxe, which is going to have, the lettuce and the onions and the tomatoes and all that stuff that might make your burger just a little bit better. Same thing with one of your hotel options at Disney. There's just an extra added element of Disney magic when you go. There's an extra feeling of, it's just nice. There's no other way to put it. You can feel the difference when you walk into a deluxe resort, you're going to have nicer amenities. You're going to have more options with your concierge. There's going to be more options for sauna, spa kind of things, and there's going to be more dining options. Every single location on Disney World property for a hotel will obviously all have dining. They all have a quick service, which is your grab and go style of food, kind of cafeteria thing. Every one of those have that. When you get to the moderate, some of them, the mid-level, some of them will have sit-down restaurants as well. But when you get to the deluxe, you're going to have the grab and go, and you will have multiple sit down options to have. You'll also have multiple bars that you can access if you're going with adults or have a chance to get away for a little bit. So the thing about deluxe, one of the huge elements of reasons of why people want to get deluxe is there are more transportation options. So up until now, every resort has only been by bus to get to the parks. There have been boat options, like I said, to get to Disney Springs, but you are by bus to get to where you're going pretty much. When you get into the deluxe level, now you have more options to get to the parks. So you can see quite a few of these have boat options, and then some of them have monorail options, which is the fast, easy way, not getting wet outside way to get to Epcot and to get to Magic Kingdom. So Animal Kingdom Lodge is the only one that breaks that exception only by bus, and that is because it's pretty far away from everything else except for Animal Kingdom because, well, here are the animals roaming outside of your room. So as far as the deluxe options go, my favorite is hands down the Grand Floridian. Sadly, it is also the most expensive option at Walt Disney World. It's my favorite because it's the classiest. It's old school Victorian, South Carolina, just grand, thus in the name, just this grand feeling. There's a beautiful staircase, there's a beautiful lobby, there's a pianist playing. It's just high class, it's just this classy vibe. And I don't think I have had that feeling in a hotel at Walt Disney World of just this epitome of class besides the Grand Floridian. Now, obviously, you still have everyone walking around in their tennis shoes and, you know, shorts and tank tops, and they're all sweaty and smell like sunscreen, but you still have this really nice, genuine vibe when you walk into the Grand Floridian. The service is top-notch, and there's a reason that it's the most expensive. So sadly, that's my favorite coming in at number one. Other options that I really, really enjoy and the pros to them. The Contemporary, here's why this one is so nice. It's the only one that you can walk to one of the parks. So Magic Kingdom is right there. Well, not the only one, sorry. The only one that you can walk to Magic Kingdom. You can walk from others. But Magic Kingdom, it's the only one you can walk to from there. It's literally a 5, maybe 7 minute, depending on how fast you are. There's a little sidewalk that comes this way and then over here, and then you're at the entrance. So the Contemporary, which is also on the monorail. And then the Polynesian, also on the monorail. It's a Hawaii vibe. It's very, very cool inside, really tall, mahogany, dark wood structures. There's trees, there's fountains outside. It's just really pretty. You do not feel like you're in Walt Disney World. You feel like you've stepped into Hawaii, definitely. You can see the theme is really, really good here. Great option, especially if you're going with adults to stay here. And then lastly, the boardwalk. I really enjoy the boardwalk. It's right by Epcot, which is really nice. And this boardwalk theme, it's just pretty. It's fun. Think Charleston, South Carolina in the summer. Just walking, just enjoyable, family, good, sweet fun. So that would be my number 3, or I guess 4. So those ones are the picks that I would say for the deluxe resorts. Let me just mention real quick with Animal Kingdom, the rates here can drastically change depending on if you have a Savannah view, which is viewing of the animals, or if you're on the other side of the Animal Kingdom Lodge facing, you know, a parking lot or something like that. If you are going to stay here, I would say get the Savannah view. It definitely would be worth it. But if you are trying to cut cost, I would just say that that's probably not the resort for you if you're not going for the view, because that's the main reason why you would probably want it. So those are the steps as far as looking at the different hotels. So after you've seen these different hotels, your job is to decide what's best for your family, what's best for your kids, what's best for your the adults in the group, who's going, what their needs are, where you're going to be going, etc. I've told you my top ones, and the reason is because they're tried and true, and I like them for different reasons. You cannot have a bad experience staying at Walt Disney World. And if you do, you need to make sure that you vocalize it. So I've had an experience that was less than ideal before, but it wasn't Walt Disney World's fault. It was the neighbors. I went and I got it taken care of and it was handled. So just know that they will do whatever they can to make sure they accommodate you properly and make sure that they give you everything that you need. So after you decide where you think you're going to be staying, then it's time to lock in your trip.